Welcome to part 6 of the series where we're using Monogame and Love2D to continue with the tutorial started by KidsCanCode. It starts to get complicated now because I combined 2 episodes last time for my episode 5. Now my episode 6 is consisting of part 7 and part 8 of KidsCanCode, so we're combining sound effects and music plus drawing a score. So let's just bring the code in. So I'll just show you what we'll be going through today. So this one is now ready to play. So I've now got sound effects and music running in here. So I've set the volumes as low as I can, so hopefully it won't be too disturbing. So you can hear the background music and gunshots and explosions, so everything's here. You can also see that we've got this yellow text that says debug mode and a score. I'll cut that out before it drives me nuts. So how do we get all this lot working? Well, the first thing to do is to find some sound sources. So that I don't contravene any copyright stuff, what I've done is on my GitHub repository here, I've added a folder here of sounds in. Now, as far as I can find out, these sounds here were either ones that I created myself using BFXR, or that I found on OpenGameArt. So hopefully I've got anything on here that shouldn't be on here. If anything is there, please let me know and I will remove it immediately. Now BFXR is mentioned in, I believe it's part 8 here. Now BFXR is this site here, but of course it runs with Adobe Flash, which, as I'm sure you all know, has now been pretty much defunct, is no longer included in browsers, but luckily you can download it as a standalone version, so you can create your own sounds following the tutorial given in part 8 of the original one here, and then you can make use of it. The code for all this is in episode 6, and then you've got Love2D, Monogame and Pygame as before, so hopefully everything you need is there. Right, let's get back to the code. So I've created a sound folder called SND. Got this sound folder which has got the sound effects that you can get off of my GitHub repository, and also this frozenjam.org, which is downloaded from OpenGameArt. I'll put these links in the description there so you can get this for yourself. So that's the background music for the that you could hear when I played it just now. Right, so those are in this folder called sound. The images, if you remember, are already in a folder called image, IMJ. So as before, first thing to do of course is to load them in. So we're now in the main file here, which does all the data importing. There's no change in the class data here, but we have added this sounds dictionary down here. So we've now got a dictionary called sounds, and because it's a dictionary and we can add and remove from the dictionary without having to use the global keyword, it's just listed in the margin here so that it is available, genuinely available to all the functions, both for read and write. So that's that one that's been changed there. There's no change to that. Let's get the loading in sorted out. Right, so in the load function we have got a new one here called load audio. This is all the same as it was before, so let's have a look at the load audio. So what we're doing here is, if you recall on the first one we did, I had this shared.audio present available in the shared folder. Just increase the size there. Boolean value audio present, so that it wouldn't error if there was no active sound card in the machine. As I say, this does occur at schools if there's no speakers or headphones plugged into the sound socket, it errors out. So that's why we've got this if shared audio present, so we can assume therefore that sound is available. Sound directory is set up using the similar to the images one. We've got an image dir here, we've got a sound dir here, based on current working directory and where we have stored our sounds. Now, because it's a dictionary, we're using the update, not append method here. So if it's a list, you append to it. If it's a dictionary, you update it. And we've got here various sounds that are available, which I've just labelled as shoot, shield, power, die, explosion 1, 2 and 3. We're not actually using all of these in this particular episode, but they will be used later on, so I thought it was sensible to kind of include them at this stage. Then I don't have to keep referring back to this every time a new episode and some new sound effects are added. So sound effects all go in here, and those are the actual files that we're loading them in for. So we can use both OGG and WAV or WAVE files in here. I believe MP3 can be imported. There was some issues with it, I think in Pygame at one point, but I think they've been sorted now. But OGG and WAVE, you have no problems with those. Now that only puts them into a dictionary so that they're kind of loaded in. The mixer now can load in this sound file, which is what plays the background music. So it's done kind of differently to sound effects. So we've got that loaded in on a separate one here, so that we've got it ready to go. Now the volume is quite loud on all these effects and the background music, and by going through all the sounds in this dictionary, we can set the volume to 0.2 of the original value, which brings it down to a reasonable level. And then finally we're setting the music, which is a different way of playing things. So sounds are treated differently to music, which is kind of streamed in. So we have to separately set that one to 0.2 and then play it with this play loops. So that will play the background music and have the sound effects loaded in, ready to go. So that's our load audio, which is a new function there, which is added onto our general load thing here. All the rest of this is the same as it was before. We've not changed any of the graphics. This is just the sounds that we're dealing with now. Now the reason I wanted to combine two of the original tutorials, and it's the sounds on their own make up a fairly small amount, but we've got to draw the text. So what I've done here is to produce a drawing function, but not here in the main file, but in the shared one. So if we go over to that, so this is the shared folder. So we've had these variables here that we defined before, nothing new there, but there's a new one, or two new variables here. We've now got the font name, which is a string value, and we're matching the font with Arial, however you want to say it, which is fairly common on most computers. So this will find the nearest match to Arial or Arial, and the score has been set to 0. So we've got these two new shared variables so that we can use it throughout the all the files are able to access this if needed. And then for the first time we've put an actual method in our shared static class. So this is the draw text method. So in order to use it, you refer to shared.drawText, And this is how it works. It draws to the screen, then it draws, that's the text that you want to draw. You can choose the size, the X and Y position, and then your alignment, whether you want it center, left or right, and even the color. So this is a kind of a custom function which then uses Pygame's things to actually render it to the screen. So we're just passing it what we want, the text itself, the size, the shape, the color, where it is, and so on. And then we're setting everything from there. So we're setting the font using Pygame's built-in font handler here, where we give it the name and the size, and then we're producing a text surface, which is where we're rendering the text and the color that it's in. True is the anti-alias, so we're trying to make it less jagged. Then we've got the text surface that we're rendering on it's rectangle, because as you know, everything we do in Pygame you have to have a rectangle that contains it. Then we're checking whether the alignment is center, and I've allowed for US spelling here by also including center spelt US way, and then it will place the text depending on the rectangle, whether it's mid top, top left or top right, to actually put the text in. And then it's blitzed to the surface as you've seen before using screen.blitz, except this time we're blitzing a text surface rather than an image. So this is all built into the shared folder. It's not directly in the main class here. So how does this actually work? If we go first of all to the update process, there we go. So as before, we're updating the bullets, the player and the mobs, and that's not changed. But inside those update events, go on here, first one I'll come to is the shoot one. So we can now include some sounds when we're shooting. So in the shoot method, I've got if shared audio present, then the sounds dictionary using the index shoot is played, so that every time you press the space key it fires a bullet if that's allowed, and then plays the shoot sound. So that doesn't if you're kind of pressing the spacebar down continuously, so that one shoot doesn't kind of interfere with the second bullet. Up here it says again, checking whether the audio is present, it's stopping the shoot sound if it's already playing before playing it again. It just makes it clearer. You can avoid this, blot it out, comment it out and check, see if you like it better, but I wanted to stop the shoot sound before redoing it. So we've used a similar method in our check mob bullet conditions, in that if the audio is present we're stopping the shoot sound, and then we're playing, because this is hitting a bullet hitting a mob, we're playing one of a choice between explosion 1 and explosion 2 when the meteorite explodes. So those little extra bits have been added to our check mob bullet. We're now taking care of the audio, and at the same time you'll notice here that we've got a shared score is equal to 50 minus the radius of the circle. So we're getting a higher score for a smaller meteor because they're more difficult to hit. So this just increases our overall score depending on the radius of the circle of the mob that we're hitting. So that's how that one is increased. So shared score is just updated here in this one function alone. It doesn't have a direct update on its own, it's only done here. Now the check mob player conditions, don't think we've got any sound effects in that. Nope, that's all done there. Then in the draw function down here, we've now got to draw the score. So here we're calling our shared.draw text. We're passing it the screen, the shared score, which we have to convert to a string because it's obviously an integer value at the moment. That's the size of the text, and that's where we're putting it. So we're putting it halfway by doing shared width over 2, halfway across the window at 10, y coordinate 10, so just 10 pixels from the top. So that's where our score goes. Then this I've added for myself. This wasn't in the original tutorial. If we've got the debug mode on, we can at least now display that. So again, we're doing a shared draw text to the screen, put the words debug mode, and we're setting it size 18, 10 pixels across, and then the height -24. So it comes fairly close to the bottom of the screen and on the left hand side. So this one, because we didn't specify where to put it, it's going to automatically assign it to the center, whereas here we've specifically said left hand side and done it in yellow. So if I just hit the play button again so you can see what the end result for that is. There we are, debug mode down here in yellow and score up there. So that's how the this works. Now, one thing that you may remember from when I've done the other parts is that when I do this in Monogame and Love2D, I have to keep dragging the window across from my main screen onto this one because it appears on there. So I thought, oh, okay, let's see if I can get this to work in such a way that it draws always on this second subsidiary smaller screen. So my initial thought was, okay, it's probably something to do with the load function here, where we're doing this environment SDL video centered equals 1, and I'm thinking, okay, if I change that to 2, then that will be on screen 2. This current screen is screen 2, so it didn't kind of make sense. I've since discovered that if I drag this entire window onto the other screen and press play, then it plays on the other screen. So don't know quite why, but in order for me to show it on the correct screen here, all I have to do is to make sure that this code window is in this screen, and then it plays here. So problem solved. But there are different ways of doing it in Love2D and Monogame, which I'll come on to when we get to that stage.